It was one of those nights in West Hollywood that everyone whispers about. You know the kind where velvet ropes, flashing cameras, and a who's who of celebrities come together under one roof, creating a stage that's part glamour, part power play, and part unspoken rules that only the insiders know. Demi Lovato's holiday party had already earned a reputation for being legendary. Invitations were rare. Those who attended did so not just to celebrate the season, but to make statements. Statements about influence, connections, and yes, even who was in and who was out. But this year, the stakes were higher than ever. The rumor mill churned, and whispers hinted at a collision that no one saw coming. Meghan Markle, a figure still carrying the aura of royalty, allegedly attempting to join Demi Lovato's exclusive holiday bash. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. Imagine the audacity, or perhaps the bravery, required to knock on the door of Hollywood's most scrutinized and carefully curated social events. Meghan Markle, accustomed to headlines and public intrigue, reportedly reached out, subtly at first, hinting, nudging, and eventually outright expressing her desire to be part of this star-studded night. But Demi Lovato, someone whose own life had been a whirlwind of fame, scrutiny, and hard-earned independence, allegedly drew the line. Stay away. A simple phrase, yet in Hollywood terms, it carried a weight that reverberated far beyond the party walls. And from there, the drama escalated. So how did it come to this? Why would Demi, someone known for her openness and charisma, refuse entry to someone of Meghan's stature? And why would Meghan, accustomed to commanding attention on the world stage, feel compelled to insist on her presence at a private celebration? The answers lie in the intersections of celebrity culture, personal boundaries, and the unspoken rules that govern exclusive circles. This isn't just about a party. It's about power, influence, and the ways in which public figures negotiate space for themselves in environments that can either elevate or diminish their social capital overnight. Let's step back for a moment. Holiday parties in Hollywood are not what most people imagine when they think of festive gatherings. They are battlegrounds of social currency. Each guest's presence is carefully weighed. Who they know, who they could impress, and crucially, who they could potentially alienate. Demi Lovato's annual gathering had always been more than just music, champagne, and twinkling lights. It was a statement of where she stood in the ecosystem of fame. And every invitation, or lack thereof, was a declaration. When rumors started circulating that Meghan Markle, someone who had recently transitioned from royalty to Hollywood socialite, was eager to attend, the stakes weren't merely social. They were symbolic. You might be wondering, how much of this is based on gossip and how much is rooted in truth? That's part of the intrigue. Hollywood thrives on a delicate blend of reality and perception. What matters isn't only what actually happens behind closed doors, but also how those events are interpreted, retold, and sensationalized by insiders, fans, and the media. In this case, sources close to both Demi and Meghan allegedly confirmed that conversations, messages, and subtle negotiations took place. The story, however, is layered, with contradictions, emotional spikes, and moments of irony that make it impossible to tell without diving deep into the personalities involved and the context surrounding them. Demi Lovato, for those unfamiliar with her journey, has lived a life of extremes, both in the public eye and privately. From child star to pop icon, from struggles with personal demons to public triumphs, she has navigated fame in ways few can comprehend. Her holiday party was more than a social event. It was a microcosm of everything she had built, curated, and protected. It was a space where she could celebrate her achievements, surround herself with allies, and control the narrative, even if just for one night. In that context, the idea of someone like Meghan Markle entering uninvited, or even asking to attend, was not a trivial matter. It was a test of boundaries, a confrontation between personal space and public persona, and a situation ripe for conflict. On the other side, Meghan Markle carries a narrative of her own, a global figure whose life has been dissected and analyzed from every angle. She has navigated complex waters from the royal palace to Hollywood studios. Her persona is a blend of diplomacy, charisma, and an understanding of optics that most could never master. And yet, in this alleged scenario, she found herself wanting something, a coveted invitation to an exclusive event that required her to navigate the delicate terrain of celebrity hierarchy. For someone used to commanding attention, the idea of being denied, even subtly, would have been an unfamiliar and perhaps frustrating experience. But here's where the story deepens. The alleged tension isn't just about an invitation. It's about timing, perception, and emotional stakes. Demi's refusal, as reported by insiders, wasn't just a boundary, it was a statement. It signaled control, independence, and an understanding of who she is in Hollywood's intricate social web. Meghan's insistence, on the other hand, reflected a desire to integrate, to participate, and perhaps to assert her presence in a space she had recently entered. The collision of these dynamics created ripples, both inside the party and across social media, that would shape narratives and fan reactions in ways that neither could fully anticipate. Consider the psychological dimension. When two high-profile figures, each accustomed to influence and recognition, encounter a situation where their expectations clash, the stakes become personal. Demi's response, allegedly firm and unyielding, could be seen as protective, defensive, or even strategic. Meghan's persistence, conversely, might be interpreted as ambitious, bold, or insistent. And in the court of public opinion, the story transforms into a spectacle of interpretation, inviting fans to speculate, align, and debate. Each message sent, each gesture made, and each rumor propagated adds layers to the drama. And every observer, whether celebrity, journalist, or fan, becomes part of the unfolding narrative. It's also worth noting the cultural context. Hollywood operates on unwritten rules that blend social hierarchy, personal branding, and media manipulation. Being in is a currency. Being out can be a public setback. A simple decision, who gets invited, who is told to stay away, carries amplified significance. Demi Lovato, as someone who has lived through both the highs and lows of fame, likely understood this better than most. Meghan Markle, navigating a transition from international royalty to American celebrity, may have underestimated the subtleties of Hollywood's social signaling. This contrast between experience and ambition forms the core tension of the story. And yet, beyond the drama, there's a human element: pride, curiosity, and desire. Both women, despite their public personas, are navigating personal emotions. Demi's decision to allegedly say no could stem from a place of self-preservation, exhaustion from public scrutiny, or simply a desire to maintain the integrity of her personal space. Meghan's repeated requests might reveal a longing for connection, validation, or inclusion. The interplay of these motives is what makes this story fascinating and relatable on a very human level, even amid the glittering, larger-than-life backdrop of Hollywood. So what really happened that night? The answers are not straightforward. Rumors swirl, insider accounts conflict, and fans speculate endlessly. What we can explore, however, is the sequence of events as reported, the emotional undertones, and the social dynamics that shaped the narrative. We can analyze why such a collision between Demi Lovato and Meghan Markle captured attention, why it resonated so strongly with fans, and why it offers a rare glimpse into the high-stakes world of celebrity interactions where one party's decision can send ripples across an entire social ecosystem. And just when you think you understand the stakes, the story twists again. What started as a simple request, a plea to join a party, allegedly escalated into something far more dramatic, involving strategic moves, subtle power plays, and public reactions that neither party could fully control. Messages, whispers, and glances became loaded with meaning. The tension, already palpable, intensified as both women navigated the delicate balance between personal boundaries and social expectations. And as the night unfolded, what seemed like a minor conflict revealed itself to be a perfect storm of emotions, egos, and ambition. But the story doesn't end there. The aftermath of that night, the fallout in social circles, and the reactions on social media added layers of complexity. Every insider account hinted at twists that made the original request seem almost trivial in hindsight. And as rumors spread, both Demi and Meghan found themselves at the center of a narrative that neither had fully scripted, each move scrutinized, each reaction amplified, and each decision interpreted through the lens of fame and power. What will unfold as we dive deeper into the events, personalities, and drama surrounding this infamous night. How did Demi handle the mounting pressure? How far did Meghan go to assert her presence? And what shocking revelations will emerge when the full story is pieced together? The answers lie ahead. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. It's easy to picture a Hollywood holiday party as glitz and glamour, a sparkling celebration of the season with champagne flowing and laughter echoing across grand ballrooms. But that image, while not entirely wrong, only scratches the surface. Behind the glittering facade lies a world of calculated decisions, unspoken hierarchies, and social power plays that could make or break reputations in the blink of an eye. Demi Lovato's holiday party is the perfect example. A gathering where invitations are coveted, presence is currency, and every interaction carries meaning far beyond the twinkle of the fairy lights. From the outside, you might think attending a celebrity party is purely about fun, meeting stars, taking selfies, maybe dancing the night away. But Hollywood parties operate on a different plane entirely. They are battlegrounds of social positioning. Who is seen talking to whom? Where someone stands in the room? Who gets photographed together? Every detail matters. These gatherings aren't merely celebrations. They are statements. They say who belongs, who commands influence, and who might be fading from the scene. And for someone like Demi Lovato, whose career has been a roller coaster of public scrutiny, personal transformation, and high-profile friendships, this party was more than an annual tradition. It was a showcase of where she stood, a night to solidify her place in Hollywood's ever-shifting social web. So, how did these parties become so legendary? Hollywood holiday events have evolved over decades, from exclusive private dinners among studio executives to grand affairs where every guest is carefully vetted. Invitations aren't simply sent, they're curated. There are considerations of alliances, reputations, past feuds, and potential media attention. A single misstep, an unvetted guest, an awkward encounter, a celebrity making waves on social media, can disrupt the delicate balance. Hosts like Demi understand this intimately. She knows that controlling the environment, even for just one evening, is essential. It's about protecting not only her image, but also the experience of those she chooses to welcome into her world. And that's what makes the alleged situation with Meghan Markle so compelling. Imagine the dynamics at play. A woman who once commanded global headlines as a member of the British royal family seeks entry into a carefully curated Hollywood event. For Demi, it wasn't just about Meghan's fame. It was about maintaining the integrity of her carefully orchestrated gathering. Who else might feel emboldened to ask for entry if Meghan were allowed? What ripple effects could this create among other celebrities attending? The stakes were enormous, and the tension invisible to the casual observer was palpable behind closed doors. Hollywood holiday parties are not only about who attends, they're about the story each guest contributes. A single interaction, shared laughter, a whispered comment, even a disapproving glance, can ripple through social circles for weeks. Celebrities and insiders often leave with a sense of where alliances lie, who's in favor, and who might be on the periphery. Demi's party, in particular, was known for subtle cues and careful attention to these dynamics. Every handshake, every toast, every whispered conversation mattered. And that's why an unexpected request, like the one allegedly made by Meghan Markle, wasn't merely a polite inquiry. It was a potential disruption to a delicate ecosystem of social influence. For attendees, the party was a chance to reinforce status, build connections, and signal alignment with influential figures. For those watching from the outside, social media coverage and gossip columns turned these nights into cultural events, with fans dissecting every photo, story, and video clip for hidden meanings. The stakes extended far beyond the walls of Demi's home. A single encounter could become a headline, a tweet, or a viral story, shaping public perception in ways that would outlast the evening itself. It's also worth noting the psychological dimension. Hollywood is a high-pressure environment where public and private personas constantly intersect. Celebrities often attend events not only to celebrate, but to manage image, reinforce personal brands, and navigate complex networks of relationships. For Demi Lovato, someone who has navigated fame from childhood through adulthood, the party was a carefully controlled stage. Her decisions, from guest lists to seating arrangements, were informed by years of experience and an acute understanding of how influence operates in this world. Allowing someone unexpected, regardless of their fame, could disrupt that balance, and the consequences, though subtle, could be far-reaching. The anticipation for Demi's holiday party begins weeks in advance. Rumors of the guest list leak slowly, sparking speculation and excitement. Social media begins to buzz with guesses about who will attend. Celebrities quietly reach out to insiders, hoping for confirmation or leverage. The tension builds, and the night itself becomes a culmination of strategy, influence, and human emotion. Each invitation is a prize, each refusal a message. And in this context, Meghan Markle's alleged plea to attend was not just a request, it was a spark in a tinderbox. The story, however, is more than just social maneuvering. It's about human desires and boundaries. Demi Lovato, having experienced the pressures of fame, public scrutiny, and personal trials, has developed a clear sense of her limits. Her home, her party, her control over the night. These were personal territories she could protect. Meghan Markle, on the other hand, represents ambition and persistence. Her insistence on attending, whether fueled by curiosity, opportunity, or a desire for inclusion, brought her face-to-face with a boundary she wasn't used to encountering. The clash between personal space and public persona created an emotional tension that went far beyond a simple invitation. And as the night approached, the stakes escalated. Every decision, every interaction, was laden with meaning. Observers, insiders, and even fans watching from afar had no idea the drama that would unfold. Would Demi relent? Would Meghan persist? Or would the boundary hold, leaving both women and the world speculating on what really happened behind closed doors? The tension was thick, the anticipation palpable, and the consequences, as it would soon turn out, unexpected. In Hollywood, one night can change everything. A glance, a word, a decision to say yes or no can ripple across careers, relationships, and public perception. Demi's party exemplified this perfectly. What was meant to be a festive celebration became, in the eyes of those watching, a high-stakes drama. And at the heart of it all, a single interaction, an invitation extended, a refusal issued, would set the stage for a story that the world could not stop talking about. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Few celebrities in the modern entertainment landscape command the kind of presence that Demi Lovato does. Their name alone conjures a story of triumph, struggle, reinvention, and unapologetic self-expression. To understand why Demi's holiday party was more than just another glamorous event, and why her alleged refusal to allow Meghan Markle to attend carried such weight, it's crucial to explore the trajectory that brought her to this point. Demi isn't just a pop star. She's a symbol of resilience, influence, and power in Hollywood circles. And with influence comes the authority to set boundaries that can ripple through an entire social ecosystem. Demi's career began in the spotlight at a young age. Disney Channel, the early musical years, the rapid rise to fame. All of these shaped her public persona. But as anyone who has followed her journey knows, her life has been far from a fairy tale. Behind the bright lights and platinum records lay struggles with personal identity, mental health, and the pressures of constant scrutiny. These experiences weren't just private challenges. They became part of the public narrative, scrutinized in interviews, social media posts, and tabloid stories. Demi's resilience through these trials gave her not only a platform, but also an acute understanding of the delicate balance between personal agency and public expectation. This awareness has translated into her role as a Hollywood influencer in ways few outsiders fully grasp. A Lovato-hosted party isn't just a celebration. It's an extension of her brand. The guest list, the ambience, the music, and even the timing are carefully orchestrated to reflect her vision of self-expression and authority. Each element sends a signal. This is who I am. This is the circle I trust. And this is the energy I cultivate. And in Hollywood, signals like these are everything. They communicate status, intention, and taste without a single word spoken. Her holiday party, in particular, had earned a near-mythical reputation over the years. Attendees included a mix of music industry heavyweights, rising stars, Hollywood royalty of a different sort, and, of course, the media insiders who could amplify the night's events across countless platforms. Stories of past parties are legendary. Secret performances, unannounced collaborations, and moments that would inevitably become viral fodder the following day. In this context, every guest is a participant in a living story. Each entrance, each conversation, each glance is laden with meaning. And for Demi, managing these dynamics is an art she has honed over decades. But what makes Demi's influence unique is the combination of power and authenticity. Many celebrities leverage fame purely for clout or social positioning. Demi, however, blends influence with vulnerability. Her career has been defined not just by her hits, but by her willingness to be open about her struggles. Fans and insiders alike recognize that this authenticity gives her authority. She isn't merely performing a persona. She is asserting boundaries, shaping social interactions, and controlling her narrative in a way that commands respect. This context is critical to understanding why her alleged stay away to Meghan Markle was not merely a snub. It was a deliberate assertion of control in a high-stakes environment. Hollywood is a world where influence can be fluid, shifting from one social circle to another in an instant. Demi's ability to maintain her status as a gatekeeper, a connector, and a trusted figure in these circles stems from her understanding of timing, perception, and interpersonal dynamics. She knows when to assert herself, when to step back, and how to maintain her autonomy without alienating allies. Her holiday party, in essence, is a microcosm of this skill set, a controlled environment where her influence is palpable, her decisions matter, and her social currency is on full display. Contrast this with someone like Meghan Markle, whose experience navigating high-stakes social environments has been very different. Meghan's influence is global and symbolic, but her understanding of Hollywood's unspoken rules may not align perfectly with Demi's more intimate, insider-centric approach. For Demi, the party is about curated intimacy and selective inclusion. For Meghan, attending could be interpreted as expanding influence or asserting presence. When these two worlds intersect, tension is almost inevitable. Demi's decisions are informed not just by social preference, but by the subtle politics of Hollywood visibility, a calculus Meghan may not have anticipated. To fully appreciate this dynamic, it's essential to recognize Demi's evolution from pop sensation to Hollywood insider. Early in her career, she relied on management teams, PR strategies, and studio support to navigate fame. Over time, however, she cultivated her own network of relationships, learned to read social cues, and developed an instinct for influence that is uniquely her own. Hosting a holiday party is one manifestation of this mastery, an environment she can control, a stage where she sets the tone, and a circle where her authority is unchallenged. It's a far cry from the uncertainty of early fame, and it's why an unexpected intrusion, or even a request to join, would carry significant weight. Demi's reputation also extends beyond her immediate circle of friends and collaborators. Social media amplifies every action, every statement, and every interaction. Fans scrutinize photos, videos, and captions for hidden meaning. Tabloids dissect minor details into sprawling narratives. In this environment, a simple refusal or boundary can become a headline, a viral moment, or a meme in the blink of an eye. Demi understands this and leverages it strategically. Her party is not just a private gathering. It is a controlled narrative, one where she determines what the world sees, even indirectly. And then there is the emotional layer. Demi's life has been punctuated by high-stakes challenges and deeply personal experiences. Fame, addiction, recovery, and reinvention have all taught her the value of setting limits, protecting her space, and choosing her circles carefully. These lessons inform her decisions in ways that are rarely visible to the public but manifest clearly in moments like the holiday party. A request to attend, particularly from someone like Meghan Markle, isn't just a social gesture. It's an emotional test, a probe of boundaries that Demi has spent years learning to protect. So when the alleged request came, it was not simply a matter of etiquette or preference. It was a collision between experience and ambition, boundary and desire, personal agency, and public expectation. Demi's response, reportedly firm and resolute, was consistent with everything she has cultivated: authority, self-awareness, and a keen understanding of Hollywood's social ecosystem. She knew that allowing the request could have implications far beyond the party itself. Implications for perception, influence, and social dynamics that only insiders truly understand. Yet, this was not a story of villainy or confrontation for its own sake. Demi's decision illustrates a critical aspect of celebrity culture, the balance between personal autonomy and public interaction. She is not merely exercising power for dramatic effect. She is navigating a complex web of relationships, expectations, and optics, ensuring that her space remains hers, even in a world that constantly seeks to encroach upon it. This perspective is key to understanding the tension that would follow, the high-stakes drama between Demi and Meghan, and the ripple effects that captivated both Hollywood and the global media. In essence, Demi Lovato's journey, from child star to pop icon to Hollywood insider, is what sets the stage for this story. Her party is not just a gathering. It is a statement, a calculated environment where every decision carries significance. And when Meghan Markle allegedly sought entry, it was not merely a request, it was a test, one that would reveal the subtle, high-stakes dance of influence, respect, and social power that defines Hollywood at its most exclusive level. The stakes were clear. Demi's reputation, her space, and the integrity of her carefully curated social circle were on the line. Meghan's ambition, persistence, and desire for inclusion were equally palpable. Two worlds, two women, one night. And the collision course had been set. But what happened next inside Demi's world? The way the boundary was asserted, challenged, and perceived would send shockwaves far beyond the walls of her home, and no one saw it coming. Imagine growing up in the public eye, but not the way most celebrities do. Imagine living under a microscope so intense that every smile, every word, every gesture becomes a headline. That's the world Meghan Markle inhabited for years. Not as a pop star, not as a musician, but as a member of one of the most scrutinized families in the world, the British royal family. And yet, she didn't stay confined to that world. She stepped out, transitioned into Hollywood, and attempted to navigate a completely different kind of fame, one governed not by centuries-old tradition, but by the ever-shifting rules of celebrity culture, social hierarchies, and media frenzy. Meghan's journey from actress to duchess and then to Hollywood socialite is a story of ambition, resilience, and reinvention. Long before whispers of holiday parties and celebrity clashes, she was crafting her persona in front of cameras on sets, in interviews, and through public appearances. Her life in Hollywood before the royals was relatively low-key compared to the media storm she would later face, but it equipped her with an understanding of optics, image management, and personal branding. She knew how to be seen, how to command attention, and, most importantly, how to leverage visibility into influence. When Meghan married Prince Harry, she entered a new realm of scrutiny and expectation. Every move was analyzed, what she wore, how she interacted with the public, the charities she supported, even the tone of her voice. The global media dissected her daily life, creating narratives, rumors, and judgments that would follow her even after leaving the royal family. When she and Harry moved to Los Angeles, they were not returning to anonymity but entering Hollywood, a landscape where fame is ubiquitous but influence is earned differently. Hollywood doesn't have protocols for royalty. It has power dynamics, networking, and social capital that are fluid and ever-changing. For Meghan, navigating this environment required learning an entirely new set of unspoken rules. In Hollywood, influence isn't handed down by title. It's measured by connections, visibility, public perception, and strategic inclusion in key circles. A holiday party, such as Demi Lovato's, is more than a festive gathering. It's a stage for social positioning. Being invited, or even attempting to gain access, signals alignment, relevance, and influence. Meghan's alleged desire to attend was not simply about wanting a good time. It was about positioning herself in Hollywood's intricate web of relationships, signaling that she belonged, and asserting her presence in a landscape where nobody automatically grants access, no matter the headlines you make or the titles you've held. This is where the clash with Demi becomes particularly compelling. Demi operates in a world where intimacy, trust, and curation define inclusion. She knows the power of her network and the subtle language of social capital. Meghan, accustomed to commanding attention and navigating global media scrutiny, may not have fully anticipated the nuances of Hollywood's private social circles. To Demi, the holiday party is a space she can control, a world where her influence is undeniable, and where every invitation is a statement. For Meghan, entering that space meant negotiating both social dynamics and personal boundaries in ways that could challenge the established order. But it's not just about influence. It's about emotion. Meghan's journey has been characterized by resilience in the face of unprecedented attention and criticism. Her move to Hollywood represented not just a geographical change, but a strategic pivot, from royal duty to personal agency, from global spectacle to curated presence. In this light, her alleged persistence in trying to attend Demi's party reflects a desire for inclusion, recognition, and agency within a new social ecosystem. She is, after all, someone who has spent years learning how to navigate power structures and public perception. The difference here is the terrain. Hollywood's power plays are subtle, relational, and deeply tied to trust and curation, rather than public titles or ceremonial authority. Hollywood social events, especially those hosted by influencers like Demi Lovato, are tests of social acumen. The guest list is deliberate. The interactions are curated. Every gesture, from who is seated beside whom to who gets photographed together, communicates messages about alliances, relevance, and taste. For someone entering this world, it is crucial to understand not just the visible rules but the invisible ones, the unspoken agreements about boundaries, respect, and inclusion. Meghan's alleged approach to Demi's party may have brushed against these invisible rules, unintentionally creating tension and putting her in a delicate position. Yet Meghan's story also reflects ambition and adaptability. She is someone who has consistently redefined her role in the public eye, shifting from actress to duchess to social influencer with remarkable dexterity. Her ability to read environments, understand optics, and project influence has been key to her survival and success. Attempting to join Demi's party aligns with this pattern, a calculated, albeit bold, move to assert her presence in a new social arena. The challenge, however, lies in understanding that Hollywood operates differently from royalty. Access is earned through nuanced relationships, subtle cues, and strategic alignment. Even someone with Meghan's global visibility must navigate these dynamics carefully, or risk being rebuffed. The alleged interaction with Demi Lovato highlights this tension perfectly. It is a collision of two worlds. One defined by curated intimacy, trust, and controlled influence, and another defined by global attention, symbolic power, and assertive presence. Both women bring authority, visibility, and experience to the table, but their methods and expectations differ. Demi's approach is private, selective, and strategic. Meghan's approach, shaped by her background and ambition, is assertive, persistent, and highly visible. The resulting tension is not just social. It's emblematic of the broader challenges that arise when different forms of influence intersect. It's also worth considering the emotional undertones. Meghan, having endured intense scrutiny and criticism, understands the stakes of visibility and public perception. Being excluded from an event, even one as ostensibly trivial as a holiday party, carries symbolic weight. To Demi, however, the exclusion is a form of boundary setting, an assertion of control over her environment, and a reinforcement of the social ecosystem she has meticulously curated. This divergence of perspective creates not just drama but emotional stakes, as personal pride, social signaling, and relational dynamics collide. And then there's the element of timing. Celebrity events, particularly in Hollywood, are orchestrated with precision. Invitations are sent, rumors leak, social media buzz intensifies, and the night itself becomes a spectacle both in reality and in perception. Meghan's alleged pursuit of attendance disrupted this timing, introducing uncertainty and potential friction. In such high-stakes environments, even minor deviations can create cascading effects, impacting relationships, reputations, and the broader narrative of the evening. Ultimately, Meghan Markle's transition from royalty to Hollywood's socialite frames the drama with Demi Lovato. It's a story of two powerful women, each navigating their own world of influence, boundaries, and expectations. Meghan's desire to attend the party and Demi's response is not simply about social access. It's a microcosm of larger themes: ambition, inclusion, respect, and the negotiation of power in a world where public perception and private boundaries constantly intersect. But the tension escalated quickly. What began as a subtle inquiry, an innocent request to join a celebration, spiraled into a high-stakes drama, testing not only boundaries but egos, social intelligence, and the ability to navigate a world where every action has amplified consequences. What came next inside Demi's carefully curated world would shock even the most seasoned Hollywood insiders, and no one saw it coming. It all started quietly. At least, as quietly as anything involving Meghan Markle and Demi Lovato could begin in Hollywood. In a world where whispers travel faster than text messages, a single rumor can escalate into a full-blown media frenzy overnight. And in this case, the rumor wasn't just about a celebrity attending a party. It was about a collision between two powerful women, each accustomed to shaping the narrative in their own way. The story, as it began to unfold, had all the ingredients for drama: ambition, prestige, secrecy, and the subtle tension that only Hollywood insiders can detect. Sources allege that Meghan Markle, curious and perhaps eager to establish herself in her new social environment, reached out to find a way into Demi Lovato's holiday party. The approach reportedly started with indirect inquiries, mutual friends, social intermediaries, casual mentions of interest, but escalated into more direct attempts to secure an invitation. Imagine being a celebrity with global recognition, reaching out to someone whose social circle is tightly curated, only to encounter a line drawn in the sand. This isn't just a tale of exclusion. It's a story of boundaries, social etiquette, and the invisible power structures that govern celebrity life. Hollywood operates on a delicate balance of access and influence. Not every invitation is simply handed out. Each one is deliberate, strategic, and reflective of relationships, alliances, and perceived social capital. Demi Lovato's party, renowned for its exclusivity, was no exception. The guest list wasn't a casual compilation, it was a curated ecosystem. Every attendee represented a connection, a potential collaboration, or a shared social value. Inviting someone, particularly someone like Meghan Markle, had implications far beyond the immediate celebration. It wasn't just about who was in the room. It was about signaling, positioning, and managing perception in a community where every nuance matters. As the rumors circulated, they took on a life of their own. Hollywood insiders began whispering to one another, social media accounts hinted at the drama, and fans speculated about what might happen if Meghan managed to gain entry. The narrative grew more elaborate with each retelling. Some painted Meghan as assertive and ambitious, others as entitled and overstepping, while some even portrayed Demi as protective and justifiably firm. What started as a simple attempt to attend a party became a complex story of personalities, power, and perception, a story that no one could ignore. The alleged messages between Meghan and intermediaries added fuel to the fire. Sources claim that she expressed genuine interest in attending, emphasizing friendship, admiration, or a desire to integrate into Hollywood's social landscape. Whether these attempts were perceived as polite, insistent, or strategic depended entirely on who was recounting the story. Demi, according to insiders, was taken aback, not because of Meghan's fame, but because of the directness and persistence of the request. In Hollywood terms, this wasn't a minor misstep. It was a challenge to the curated social ecosystem that Demi had carefully maintained. The rumors also highlighted the psychology of celebrity interactions. For Meghan, requesting entry into the party may have been about opportunity, visibility, or validation. For Demi, the potential disruption threatened both the integrity of her social circle and the carefully managed environment she had created. Every message, every whisper, every subtle nudge carried meaning. And in a world where perception is everything, the stakes could not have been higher. The alleged plea became a test of negotiation, influence, and personal boundaries, a situation where a single decision would resonate far beyond the walls of the party itself. Interestingly, the rumor mill didn't just speculate about the social implications, it also focused on emotional dynamics. How did Demi feel about the request? How did Meghan react to resistance? The speculation suggested tension, curiosity, and perhaps even a clash of egos. Hollywood thrives on these narratives, in part because they humanize celebrities while simultaneously amplifying drama. Fans could relate to ambition, persistence, and boundary setting, even as they watched two women with extraordinary influence navigate these challenges in very public ways. As the whispers grew, the story began to take on almost mythic qualities. The idea of Meghan Markle, a figure synonymous with royalty and global attention, attempting to infiltrate one of Hollywood's most exclusive parties created a striking image. Meanwhile, Demi Lovato's alleged refusal became a statement, not just of social exclusion, but of personal agency, autonomy, and authority within her sphere. The narrative, now fueled by rumors, speculation, and emotional undertones, set the stage for the drama that would unfold on the night of the party. But rumors in Hollywood are rarely straightforward. Every account came with contradictions. Some sources claimed Meghan was politely testing the waters. Others said she was persistent and bold. Some suggested Demi was amused, while others insisted she was firmly protective of her guest list. These conflicting narratives created intrigue, encouraging fans, journalists, and insiders alike to analyze every detail. Who was telling the truth? Who was exaggerating? And perhaps most importantly, what would happen if these rumors materialized into real-world action? This tension between perception and reality is a hallmark of Hollywood culture. An alleged request to join a party is not merely a logistical matter. It's a microcosm of power, influence, and social negotiation. The rumors themselves became a form of entertainment, with fans speculating, analyzing, and even taking sides. Social media posts hinted at drama, paparazzi feeds teased potential sightings, and every conversation seemed to carry additional layers of meaning. In essence, the rumor became a story in its own right, one that set the stage for the emotional, social, and strategic stakes of the actual event. Even within Demi's inner circle, speculation was rampant. Friends and collaborators reportedly debated the potential outcomes. Would Demi relent? Would Meghan respect the implied boundary? Or would the situation escalate into a public spectacle? These conversations, though private at the time, contributed to the sense that something significant was unfolding. The narrative was no longer about a simple party. It was about the intersection of ambition, influence, and personal boundaries in a world where every decision is magnified. And as the day of the party approached, the tension only intensified. Social media buzzed with anticipation. Insiders whispered about possible confrontations or subtle power plays. Observers speculated about who might be invited and what the dynamics could look like if Meghan succeeded in joining the event. The rumors, having already transformed into a story with emotional depth, symbolic meaning, and social significance, created a pressure cooker scenario that promised unforgettable drama. By the time the evening arrived, what began as a subtle, almost private inquiry had grown into a story with all the elements of a Hollywood exposé. The alleged plea, the rumors, and the speculation had set expectations, heightened emotions, and positioned both women on a collision course. The stage was set, the players were in motion, and the question hanging in the air was simple but electrifying. Who would prevail? Demi Lovato with her carefully curated world, or Meghan Markle with her global presence and ambition? But what came next? The first face-to-face moments, the subtle interactions, and the decisions that would define the night would escalate the tension far beyond anything anyone had anticipated, and no one saw it coming. Hollywood is a world of subtle signals, unspoken rules, and meticulously crafted appearances. But every so often, a line is drawn so clearly that even those accustomed to navigating the labyrinth of fame can't ignore it. For Demi Lovato, that line allegedly appeared the night Meghan Markle requested to attend her exclusive holiday party. It wasn't dramatic in a cinematic sense. There were no shouting matches, no public confrontations, but in the world of celebrity social dynamics, the impact was seismic. A single phrase, reportedly delivered by Demi, carried a weight far beyond the words themselves. Stay away. To outsiders, this might seem like a minor refusal. After all, it's just a party. But for those immersed in Hollywood's intricate social hierarchies, it was far more significant. This was about control, personal boundaries, and the unspoken codes that govern exclusive circles. Demi's parties were not merely festive gatherings. They were stages upon which influence, trust, and social currency were displayed and negotiated. Allowing an unexpected guest, particularly someone of Meghan Markle's stature, could disrupt the carefully calibrated dynamics Demi had built over years. The refusal, then, was as much a strategic decision as it was a personal one. Sources close to Demi allege that the response was firm but composed. There was no public spectacle, no overt drama. But the message was clear. This space is controlled, and access is not granted lightly. In Hollywood, authority is often asserted through subtlety. A glance, a gesture, or a single word can communicate volumes. Demi's alleged refusal exemplified this. It wasn't just a no. It was a signal that she valued her boundaries, curated environment, and social ecosystem more than accommodating even the most high-profile request. The implications of this decision ripple far beyond the immediate party. In a culture obsessed with access, influence, and visibility, a refusal like this carries symbolic weight. It sends a message to the broader community. Entry is earned, influence is managed, and boundaries are respected. For Meghan Markle, someone used to commanding attention and navigating public perception, encountering such a line was unprecedented. The world she was entering operated on different principles, where fame alone doesn't automatically translate to inclusion. And for Demi, enforcing this boundary was a demonstration of autonomy, a subtle but powerful reminder that even celebrities with global recognition are subject to the rules of curated social spaces. Hollywood thrives on stories of conflict, but what makes this scenario particularly compelling is the emotional undercurrent. Demi's decision was likely informed by a mix of professional awareness and personal instinct. She has lived a life under scrutiny, experienced both adulation and criticism, and understands the importance of controlling her environment. By allegedly saying "stay away," she was not acting out of pettiness, but out of a deeply ingrained sense of self-preservation and social intelligence. Boundaries, once crossed, can unravel even the most carefully maintained social networks. Meanwhile, the rumored reaction from Meghan Markle adds another layer of intrigue. Sources suggest that she was taken aback by the firmness of the refusal, not expecting resistance in a world where she is accustomed to influence. It's a rare moment in which Meghan's global stature collided with an insular, curated environment where trust and relationships hold more weight than fame. The tension is almost cinematic in its subtlety. Two powerful women, each operating in their own realm of influence, confronted by conflicting expectations and social codes. The impact of Demi's alleged stay-away statement was immediate within her circle. Friends and collaborators reportedly respected her stance, recognizing both her authority and the delicate dynamics at play. It reinforced her position as a gatekeeper, someone capable of controlling her environment while maintaining her social and professional relationships. For those watching from the outside, however, the story quickly evolved into speculation, gossip, and headlines. Was Demi being defensive? Strategic? Cold? All interpretations circulated, reflecting Hollywood's obsession with perception and narrative. This moment also highlights the intersection of personal boundaries and public perception. In many ways, Demi's refusal serves as a lesson in autonomy. In a world where public figures are constantly expected to accommodate requests, appearances, and social pressures, setting a line and enforcing it is an act of empowerment. Yet the simplicity of the phrase belies its complexity. Stay away carries not just a social directive, but also an emotional resonance, communicating resolve, control, and the limits of inclusion. From Meghan's perspective, encountering such resistance would have been a challenge to navigate. Persistence, ambition, and visibility have been hallmarks of her public persona. Confronted with a firm boundary in a new social terrain, she would have been forced to reassess strategy, consider influence, and determine how to proceed without causing a spectacle. The tension between desire for inclusion and respect for boundaries is universal, but in Hollywood, it's amplified by social stakes, media scrutiny, and the symbolic weight of celebrity interactions. Demi's response also underscores the strategic intelligence required to manage high-profile social events. Every invitation is a calculated decision. Every refusal carries a ripple effect, and every interaction communicates a subtle message to friends, collaborators, and the broader celebrity ecosystem. By allegedly saying no, Demi wasn't just protecting the immediate integrity of her party. She was asserting her long-term authority and influence. It's a masterclass in social navigation, demonstrating how control over a single environment can reinforce status, credibility, and respect across an entire network. But the moment didn't end quietly, and the story certainly didn't stop there. Hollywood, as always, thrives on escalation, speculation, and the unexpected. Sources suggest that Meghan Markle, accustomed to influence and adept at reading situations, did not accept the refusal as a final verdict. Her persistence, subtle maneuvering, and attempts to negotiate access added tension to an already charged scenario. What might have seemed like a simple boundary became a test of wills, strategy, and social intelligence, with both parties navigating not only their personal stakes, but also the potential public fallout. In essence, the stay-away moment was more than a rejection. It was the fulcrum on which the entire drama turned. It encapsulated the clash of personalities, the collision of influence, and the delicate choreography of Hollywood social dynamics. Demi's firmness set the tone, defined the parameters, and signaled to everyone involved that this night would not unfold according to ordinary expectations. It also created a narrative rich in suspense, curiosity, and anticipation. Fans, insiders, and media observers alike were left asking, how would Meghan respond? Would Demi maintain her stance? And what unexpected events might unfold as the night progressed? Hollywood is a stage, but sometimes the most riveting drama is not in what is performed for cameras. It is in the quiet assertion of boundaries, the subtle negotiation of influence, and the personal choices that shape public perception. Demi's response, in its simplicity and decisiveness, exemplifies this principle. And as the night of the party approached, the tension generated by this alleged refusal promised to explode in ways that would shock both insiders and the public alike. But what happened next? The subtle maneuvers, the whispered conversations, the strategic positioning that followed Demi's firm boundary would escalate the tension to levels no one anticipated and no one saw it coming. In Hollywood, persistence is a currency. Influence can be asserted quietly through subtle gestures or boldly through direct action. And when it comes to Meghan Markle, persistence is part of her DNA. From her early acting career to navigating the intense scrutiny of royal life, she has cultivated an unyielding drive and a keen sense of how to make her presence felt. So when Demi Lovato allegedly told her to stay away from the holiday party, it wasn't simply a social hiccup. It became a challenge, one that Meghan, accustomed to commanding attention, wasn't willing to let stand. Sources suggest that Meghan's approach after Demi's refusal was tactful yet insistent. She didn't storm the party or attempt to force her way in. Instead, she employed subtle strategies, leveraging mutual contacts, emphasizing shared interests, and reminding intermediaries of her admiration for Demi. In Hollywood, this kind of persistence is often more effective than overt confrontation. It demonstrates respect for the social rules while signaling determination, a delicate balance that can shift perception and potentially open doors that initially appeared closed. Persistence, however, isn't just about getting what you want. It's about signaling your value. Meghan's repeated inquiries reportedly highlighted her cultural relevance, media influence, and potential contribution to the party's atmosphere. For Demi, this was not merely about managing access. It was about weighing the social and reputational calculus. Allowing someone persistent to join could have implications, both immediate and long-term, for her curated network. Hollywood parties aren't just about fun. They're microcosms of social strategy, where each decision is a reflection of alliances, status, and influence. It's also important to consider the psychology of persistence in this context. Meghan, having endured intense media scrutiny and navigating the politics of royal life, is adept at reading signals, understanding power dynamics, and leveraging them to her advantage. Persistence, in her case, is not brashness, it's strategic engagement. Each attempt to gain access, each conversation with intermediaries, was likely calculated, designed to respect boundaries while simultaneously testing their limits. And for Demi, who is equally savvy. This created a subtle tension. How to assert authority without creating unnecessary drama, and how to maintain the integrity of her social ecosystem while managing a persistent high-profile request. The alleged back and forth also sheds light on the broader dynamics of Hollywood social interactions. Persistence is often rewarded, but only when it aligns with the unspoken rules of inclusion and influence. A misstep, a message too direct, an approach too public, can backfire, turning admiration into annoyance. Meghan's reported strategy illustrates a nuanced understanding of these rules. She had to be seen as interested, enthusiastic, and respectful simultaneously. In other words, Hollywood persistence is not about entitlement. It's about perception, timing, and finesse. Adding to the tension was the emotional layer. Demi's firm boundary likely elicited frustration, curiosity, and perhaps a sense of challenge from Meghan. For someone used to navigating systems where visibility often equates to influence, being denied, even politely, creates a psychological puzzle. How does one assert presence without crossing lines? How can ambition be balanced with respect for another person's domain? These are the dilemmas Meghan allegedly faced, and they highlight the interplay between personal drive and social intelligence in high-stakes environments. Hollywood insiders reportedly observed subtle signs of the tension escalating. Mutual contacts, friends, and intermediaries found themselves caught in a delicate web of communications, conveying messages, gauging responses, and attempting to maintain harmony. Every interaction had layers: emotional, social, and strategic. For Demi, it was a test of patience, authority, and judgment. For Meghan, it was a test of influence, diplomacy, and adaptability. And for those watching from the outside, the unfolding drama offered a tantalizing glimpse into the inner workings of celebrity power dynamics. It's also worth noting the irony. Meghan Markle, once part of one of the most exclusive and hierarchical systems in the world, found herself negotiating access in a completely different environment. The royal palace, with centuries of protocol and rigid structure, contrasts sharply with Hollywood's fluid, informal, yet equally high-stakes social landscape. In the palace, influence often comes from title and tradition. In Hollywood, influence comes from perception, relationships, and strategic social positioning. Meghan's persistence illustrates both her adaptability and her understanding that the rules had changed, even if the outcome remained uncertain. The alleged scenario also speaks to the emotional stakes involved. Persistence in this context is not just about ambition. It's about self-assertion and recognition. Meghan's repeated attempts, according to insiders, weren't driven by entitlement alone. They were driven by a desire to be seen, acknowledged, and included in a social ecosystem where she was still establishing credibility. For Demi, maintaining the boundary was about protecting the curated world she had built, a space where every guest represented a choice, and every interaction carried weight. The clash, then, was as much emotional as it was social. As the night of the party approached, the tension reportedly intensified. Meghan's persistence created anticipation, speculation, and subtle anxiety among those involved. Would Demi stand firm? Would Meghan's strategic efforts succeed? Could a compromise be reached, or would the interaction escalate into a spectacle? The answers were uncertain, and the uncertainty added to the drama. Hollywood thrives on these moments, the moments when control, ambition, and social intelligence collide in unexpected ways. Persistence in Hollywood is often rewarded, but it carries risks. Too much pressure can damage relationships, while too little can result in missed opportunities. Meghan's approach, as reported, illustrates a careful calibration, assertive yet respectful, ambitious yet strategic, persistent yet adaptable. And for Demi, responding to this persistence was a test of authority, diplomacy, and the ability to maintain control in a world where influence is constantly negotiated. By the time the party began, the stakes were clear. Meghan Markle's persistence had transformed what could have been a minor request into a story of intrigue, strategy, and social negotiation. Demi Lovato's response had established boundaries, but those boundaries were being tested in real time. The night was set to become a stage not just for celebration, but for a subtle, high-stakes game of influence and social maneuvering that would captivate insiders and fans alike. And just when it seemed the tension had reached its peak, an unexpected twist occurred, one that would redefine the narrative, escalate the drama, and leave everyone wondering who truly had the upper hand. The moment guests began arriving at Demi Lovato's holiday party, the air was electric, not just with holiday cheer, but with a charged sense of anticipation. Hollywood parties are never just parties. They are carefully constructed social ecosystems, where relationships, influence, and perception intersect in ways invisible to the casual observer. For those in attendance that night, it wasn't only about the music, the decorations, or the gourmet food. It was about reading the room, navigating subtle cues, and observing how power and personality intersected in real time. From the moment the doors opened, the atmosphere was a delicate blend of glamour and tension. The guests